So our first speaker today is going to be Pete. Pete's going to talk about Selium and how he wants to replace Kafka, I believe, with it. Welcome, Pete.
There is nothing like putting words in someone's mouth. Thanks, mate. G'day, I'm Pete. I am here to talk to you about Selium, which is a startup that myself and Laurie, do you want to give us a wave? And another colleague of ours in Melbourne, who's actually speaking at the Rust meetup in Melbourne tonight, we are developing. And what Selium is a messaging platform. It is composable, it's open source, and it's written in Rust, hence why we're here tonight. So the first question I always get asked, can I drop F-bombs? It's probably not. No. I'm getting thumbs up from the audience, which definitely means no. So people always ask me, why the truck? Are you building another messaging platform? And if we think about the way that our applications work, we don't ever have, well, usually we won't have one method of communication, we'll have multiple methods of communication. Some of those might be streaming, some of those will be messaging, RPC, all of that kind of stuff. You'll have different reliability requirements, you'll have different message replay and other things that you want to build in. And normally, these tools are all completely separate. You have to take, say, SQS for doing your messaging, and then, I don't know, Kafka or whatever to do your streaming. And so it all gets a bit messy, and you end up with configuration all over the place. And it's like every time you reach for a new vendor, you've then got to configure that vendor. You've then got all of their proprietary stuff that you need to actually provision, and then all of the operations on top of that. So it's like a lot of people just go, you know what, I cannot be bothered with this. I'm just going to stick with HTTP. And like, how many times have you seen people using pagination because streaming's just too difficult? So even if you've got something like DevOps, you essentially take all of those little bits of configuration, you just squash that into a monolith, which doesn't seem like a smart idea to me, but people love DevOps, so yay. But then you've got like DevOps over here, and they control your config, and then your developers, sorry, I'm really sweaty today, over here, and they don't really talk very well. So you've got to go through these DevOps people, which then, of course, they're going to turn around and say, have you raised a change request? So not really, the most ergonomic solution, and I'm just really pissed off with all of this. So I'm solving this for myself, probably more than anyone else. So what we really want is applications that just work, and applications that have all of this stuff kind of built in, rather than having to farm it out to third parties. And so that's what Selium is. We're not trying to reinvent the world. We're not really introducing you to groundbreaking new technology or anything. What we're trying to do is build a tool that is just easier. It just works. You don't have to have any of the external configuration and all the malarkey that goes along with it. So I'm going to take you through some code very quickly. I've been told strictly 15 minutes and then truck off. So I will do my best. All right, here we go. So let's say you want to do some pub sub. Nice and simple. I've got here a struct. This struct can be whatever you like. At the moment, it's a stock ticker, but it could be anything. It could be an enumerator. It could be a string or a massive collection of different data types. It doesn't matter as long as we can serialize it. As you can see at the top, bam, we've got our serialized, deserialized traits. These are just Serde. It's not anything special. And then as long as we can serialize it, then we can send it over the wire. So first thing we need to do is connect to a Selium broker, which is our middleman. So we connect to an endpoint, set up some certificates. We use mutual authentication, so everything's nice and secure. And then we establish a stream on top of that connection. So Selium uses a reliable UDP implementation called Quinn, which is based on Quick. And I cannot remember which tech giant developed Quick originally, or the spec for it. I think it's Google, but yeah, some nods, fab. So Quinn's an awesome protocol, super fast, and it allows us to multiplex channels. So we can have multiple channels on the one connection. So we're always going to reuse the one connection and establish new channels each time. In this case, we're establishing a publisher, and we're just using topic-based routing, which is, again, dead simple, hard to screw up. We also have pluggable codecs. So if you want to use something else like protobufs or, I don't know, pick a thing, then you can do that as well. We have a bin code and a string codec. So if you want to send JSON, go right ahead. If you want to encode your data and then send it as binary, you can do that too. And then finally, we send some stuff. This shouldn't look particularly daunting, hopefully. We're just sending the struct that we have there through the pipe that we've just established. So the things to note here is that the publisher is not actually a custom type. It's just a sink, a futures sink. So if you're already using futures or Tokyo, this will just plug into your existing infrastructure. You don't need to actually add anything else in order to get I/O working with Selium in your current projects. And then just for completeness, this is our receiver. So again, we reuse our connection to create a subscriber stream, and then we can receive messages using a stream. It's just vanilla futures streams. So nothing groundbreaking here, but hopefully you'll agree, nice and simple. We also do request reply, not just pub sub. So you can, again, define your protocol, so the things that you're going to send and then the things you're going to receive in return. These can be arbitrary things. They can be strings if you want to use a string codec, but sending Rust types is always more fun. So we establish some types. Then we set up a requester. The requester, again, is using mutual authentication. There are pluggable codecs, so you can BYO. You can also do things like compression and batching, which is just composable into your library. Once you've hit request, then you just await a reply. You can send multiple requests up front and then wait for replies to dribble in, whatever, and we'll take care of routing each reply to the correct future so that whenever a particular request resolves, it's always going to be the answer that you want. So yeah, again, nice and simple. This is the response. If you want to set up a replier or an RPC server, whatever you want to call it, dead easy. We just create another stream on that connection. Again, using topic routing because it's idiot proof. We are looking to add more sophisticated routing down the track, but at least now this gets us up and running. Yeah, we can... sorry, I've forgotten the point for this slide, but it's pretty fucking basic. I think you'll agree. So, some fun specs. Selium's open source. You can check us out on GitHub at Selium Labs. We have achieved more than 4 gigabytes, not gigabits, gigabytes of throughput in benchmarks. I know benchmarks are a pretty poor way of estimating production performance, but at least we know under good conditions we can perform, and this is completely unoptimized. So yeah, early days yet, but we're still seeing some decent performance. And we have 0 configuration files. You haven't seen any configuration files because there aren't any. This is it. You just plug it in and go. I'd be remiss if I didn't make a shameless plea for money. Give me your money. So we're launching a cloud platform so you don't have to worry about all of the server and the ops and all that stuff. We are setting up a beta at the moment, which we're going to be launching on Friday. So if you want to register, you can register right now at Selium.com and get access to that beta. And then that'll give you 50% off our paid tiers if you want to then upgrade to a paid tier. And that is that. Thank you very much. Oh, 11 minutes. Fuck yeah. Any questions? Hello.
So I'm interested in whatever you're selling there. So what is running is just kind of like where the broadcast thing will happen from. So I would be publishing things from my own infrastructure infrastructure to that thing, and that thing will go out and build my clients, basically.
Can we put this questions at the front?
Yes. Should I redo it?
Please, sir. Yeah,
Yes.
please.
Do you want to do it to the mic so everyone can hear? Or
It's fine.
okay.
Good enough? Yeah. Okay.
Just come here. You'll get this right.
So I'm wondering what the...
No.
Too close?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wondering what the product you are selling is. What is that thing running in the cloud, and what are my APIs into that thing?
Yeah. So Selium is hub and spoke. So we've got a server in the middle and then clients around the outside. The clients are just a Rust library. It's on crates now and it's completely open source, as is the server. What we're selling is, well, nothing at the moment because we haven't got our beta working yet. But Friday, we will be selling access to our managed server. So we'll be doing all the scaling and infrastructure guff for you. And what we're looking at is a utility model, so you just pay for the bandwidth you use, and there's no like ongoing license. Yeah. Quick run. Oh, he's done. No, he's done.
Anyone who has questions, any queue here? It's fine.
So just got a quick question, and I'm just taking a step back from the Rust ecosystem here. A lot of people, they think of sending data from one place to another in two ways. You've got a REST API for sending a little bit of data, and then you've got Apache Kafka for sending a lot.
Yeah.
And there's a lot, I've seen this happen a lot of times. They've got two solutions, and I've seen many people propose a third solution, and they haven't quite listened. So what would your pitch be to people outside the Rust ecosystem who are perhaps not really looking for a third solution? Why would they take up your solution as their third solution?
Good question. Can I have the mic back?
Of course. No.
It's actually fine if you don't, because that's a hard question. Laurie, do you want to take this one? So I think what we're focusing on is developer ergonomics. So if you go with Kafka, you're going to have to set up Kafka. Even if you're using like managed Kafka on AWS or whatever, you've still got to set up all of your Kafka things, so your partitions and all of that, like Kafka guff. And you've got to set up HTTP and run a web server and all of that. None of this is insurmountable, right? It's all, we do this all the time, but what we're trying to do is just propose a way that's easier. There's less friction in Selium than there are using two other technologies. And hopefully it's like a nicer experience for specifically Rust devs. We are looking at expanding language support, but, you know, PR's welcome. Is that all right?
I think that's you're really thinking about it. I think that's a really good answer.
Okay.
And, like, you're at the early stages, so like that's the right answer to have because you've got lots of other things to worry about.
Yeah.
You're clearly going in the right place.
Oh, thanks, mate. That is the response, everyone. That's what I expect.
All right. I'm told I have to ask a question. So I guess the thing that I'd be most interested in is what are you doing about data loss, guarantees, maybe checksums, you know, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Hashing. Go.
Yeah. Nothing. So we have in our backlog stories for message retention and also delivery guarantees, both at least once and at most once. I know there's a lot of talk about exactly once. There's also talk about whether that's actually a thing or not. So yeah, that's definitely on the horizon and stuff that we have designs for, we just haven't implemented yet. But like 100%, this is not the most bulletproof solution right now. So if you're like transferring bank data, don't. With Selium, don't. If you're building a chat server or I don't know, whatever it is, anything that's not like super mission critical, you're good. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Watch this space is what I'd say.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.